Hello and welcome back to episode 24 of the Hooked on NRL SuperCoach podcast. I'm your host, Sol, and it's just me today. I'm doing a bit of a solo pod. Unfortunately, Fish wasn't able to make today. He had his dad's B-Day dinner on. And first of all, also want to say apologies for not getting an episode out last week. We just couldn't line up the times. I was actually moving everything down to the Gold Coast as well. And I also had my anniversary sort of getaway going on. So it was a very busy week. And then, Fish was also very busy as well. So sorry about the delay. And, sometimes just life gets in the way. That's enough of the sort of pleasantries to start us off, though. I want to touch on basically make it a bit of a short episode today. Do a bit of a recap on the week that was, so round 21, and then briefly skim over TLT. I've done a bit of a notes up, so you can have a look at that. I'll share my screen in a second, sort of recapping everything there, and then going on to trades and skipper plans. Obviously, with trades sort of wearing thin for most, myself, I've only got 2 trades left, and I know that I'm planning to use one. It's really hard to sort of talk too much about trades when they're so valuable at this point in the season. We've already seen the carnage that's happened recently with personally myself. I lost Hughes last weekend, unfortunately. The week before that, lost Kaloamatangi, lost Nikora, lost Tino. So basically my whole second row forward was wiped out. I unfortunately also copped Tino's score. And then the week before that, Dylan Lucas went down. So it's just so hectic on the injury front. And I think warm bodies at this point of the season is pretty much the important thing. And I wouldn't be forcing a trade if you can field a good 18, I guess. So if you look at your side and you're like, okay, this 18 is solid enough, and you're happy with it, then maybe it's not, and you've only got a low amount of trades, and potentially the best option there for you is to hold trades. Though there is a simple rule that I do live by as well in SuperCoach, and that's if the player scares you, I genuinely want to get them in. We'll touch a bit more on that though, because in the week that was, because there was a player that I was very scared about not owning, and he flopped, and I ended up having quite a good week, which I'm very happy about. So I'll quickly share my screen now, and we'll touch on the week that was, and then go move to TLT. So as you can see, last week I scored 1454, and this was the sort of side that I played with Hughes dropping out. Had a pretty decent green arrows all the way up into rank 317, which is the best I've been all year. So I'm very, very stoked with that. Still, though, in recent times, I haven't been able to get a captaincy right, unfortunately. So that's a bit of a bummer. Hopefully, I can start nailing some of them soon. I captain Edwards instead of Cleary. I was actually on Cleary all week, and then I had news from Max Bryden from the SuperCoach Playbook, who texted the group and basically said that Edwards had the tee. Put my phone down and went for a drive, and then he sort of replied, and by then it was too late, saying that Cleary had it. So yeah, a bit filthy about that one, but that's all right. I lost about 30 points or so. The rest of the side though was really pretty solid. Like Drinkwater, odd performance with scoring 90 in the first half and then only getting 1 point in the second half. But what did it for me though, and having such a good round as my pods, and Ronaldo Militalo did 90, got 91. Burden 124. I brought in Leka Halasima and I brought in Harry Grant last week. So I traded these 2 guys in, traded Kaloamatangi out, and I also traded Tupoi out. Because I liked the way it made my side look, and I decided to hold on to Tino. So hoping that hopefully Tino can come back soon. Yeah, you guys can see the side. Pretty happy with that moving forward. And yeah, let's sort of have a look at the league and how everyone is sort of going in our Hooked On League. So as you can see, he's still got jet speed at the top. He's been killing it all year. He's ranked 43, so good on you, mate. Keep chipping away. I'm sure you're gonna finish up on that top 100. And then you obviously see me down here at 317. Hopefully I can make a run for your jet speed, but we'll see how we go. So I'm ranked 317 with 26793 points, and I'm pretty happy with where my side's at. But obviously, only 2 trades left is a bit daunting. We'll go down and have a look for Fisher. Here he is. So unfortunately, he saw some quite big red arrows on the weekend, scoring 1184. Yeah, unfortunately, he captained Hines like most. He was the most popular captaincy option, and that's a player that I alluded to at the start, is that I was very nervous not to have Hines for this game against the Bunnies. Me, like everyone else, sort of thought that the Sharks would touch them up, and it was probably the strangest game that I've seen. Only 14-12, and the Bunnies just kept withholding them. That said, though, Hines was millimeters away from having a try and a line break with that, and then also a try assist and a line break assist. So he got held up over the line, and then he threw a forward pass to Billy Burns. So he would have turned up, and that would have been huge for a lot of owners there, and not so great for me. Yeah, but all in all, quite a middling week for Fish. Kick out did well. Obviously, he had Cleary, but Karaz, who everyone really has, no one else really standing out for him. So hopefully, Fish can get back on the mend and see some green arrows to come. And he's only got 2 trades left as well, so I'm not sure if he's trading this week. I think he's moved to a bit more of a head-to-head focus now, instead of overall. But I'll have to ask him. So he's trying to save trades for the finals. I believe he's on the brink of top 4 in our comp. He's got to win this week to sort of secure 4th spot in our main league. So now that that's all done, we'll sort of move on to team list. So I've made this little Word doc quickly before the show. Feel free to glance your eyes over it. I'm just going to basically reiterate what it says. So for the Storm versus Para game, Munster and Pappenhausen are back. That's both huge. With Wishart named at halfback for the injured Hughes and no Kane Bradley. So big takeaways here in the Storm game. Your Pappenhausen, does he goal kick? That's huge. Not many people have held. Fish has held, so I'm sure he's hoping he keeps the goal kicking. It pretty much deletes Meany as an option, but a lot of people are looking at the Storm game as a huge one for them against the Eels. But without Hughes, I think the Storm are a different side. I think you'll have to see a little bit more from Munster. You'll see a little bit more from Harry Grant, as we did see on the weekend as well. Funnily enough, though, Grant actually averages less with Hughes. Without Hughes in the he averages less without Hughes in the side. So you would think he would take up more responsibility. Like he seemed to step up to the plate last weekend. When Hughes went off, he just went to another level and turned up. But yeah, statistics say otherwise. Although I myself, as a ground owner, do believe that he's going to step up and be running the ball more and running the show more. And you can see that a lot of people are trading him in because they also have that belief. Munster, I think, will get more ball, which I already touched on. So that's good if you held him, like myself. I think he could have a great game. And I probably wouldn't be looking at either of these guys as VC options. You probably could VC Pappenhausen if you got confirmation he was goal kicking. If not, then I would probably leave it. Yeah, the Storm side's a little bit overrated in my opinion. They only just got over the line. Another one to touch on, obviously, with Hughes' injury is Eli Katoa. Surprisingly, he averages significantly more without Hughes, which you wouldn't think. And I know a lot of people are actually tossing up whether they play him after he sort of stunk it up the last 2 weeks with 36 and like a low 40s score in the last 2 weeks. So you could definitely play, consider not playing him. That's a consideration I'm having myself as well. But I think I'm leaning more towards just playing him and, not Not worrying about it too much. Although, yeah, everyone pretty much owns him. So if you didn't play him, you'd be banking on someone else to go higher than him, which they very well could. Yeah, it's a coin toss. It's just second row lately, at least, and the forwards in general have been quite mediocre. No Bradley. Sorry, I'll move off the back of that. Forwards have been quite mediocre because this is sort of the part of the season where the big teams start to separate themselves, and sides are already starting to move off into Bali and all these other sorts of things. With they know they're not going to make the eight, and you start to see big score lines and backs scoring a lot of tries and a lot of more free flowing footy and big margins in games instead of the tough gritty stuff in the middle. Um, Big name players get rested, so that's why generally forwards start to taper off and backs start to take over at the end. So that's something to keep in mind with your trades as well. And it's starting to look like that with the market trade-ins. No Bradley, not really to touch on. Parramatta, nothing really to touch on. I will say for a low max owner like me, I did tinker with not playing him, but I just don't think he can. Like I think he's that good. He can do it against anyone. But you know, the reason I tinkered with it is not because it's a Storm, it's because he's up against Xavier Coates, who's a huge aerial threat as well. And we saw in Origin when they matched up against each other, Lomax, was pretty much nullified. So that's sort of my reasoning there is does Coates just cancel him out and get told to mark Lomax all game? We already know that Eels prefer that edge, and will be peppering that edge, but maybe he sort of gets cancelled out. In saying that, even if he does and he doesn't score, he should still see about 60 points in base. But maybe you could have a look at try getting upside elsewhere. For the Warriors, huge losses with Egan suffering a big head knock, so he's out. Harris Davida's also out with a calf injury, and same with Fisher Harris. So some big outs for the Warriors with Hilly named at hooker and Tomato Mata named at 5'8". So I don't think I'll be tipping the Warriors this week against the Dolphins, unfortunately, as a Warriors supporter. But yeah, pretty big outs there. On the good news, Halasima, who I brought in over Yeo, those are the two I was tossing up. I just wanted the upside. He played 80 minutes on the weekend, and he looks very good. And he's sort of on the back of that Ali Katoa discussion. He's someone that I'm eyeing up playing over him, although it's tough because he's running at Isaiah Katoa for the Dolphins. And I do think the Dolphins get the win here. So I think I am leaning towards just sticking with Eli Katoa, but something to keep in mind there with all the Warriors out. So I just don't know how we can win this one. And then obviously for the Dolphins, you see Nikorima, Nichols, and Kafusi all come back. So huge ins, especially Nikorima, who him and Katoa so deadly together. For the Broncos, massive news in their game against the Bunnies, and a lot of Karapani owners, such as Fish, would be spewing at this one because they are playing the Bunnies, who are dead last at the moment. And yeah, they're just Karapani's been dropped, and same as Arthur's. Madge has decided to pull the pin on the two wingers, and unfortunately, Karapani owners have been done dirty there with a really good matchup. Cobbo and Mariner come in on the wings to replace them, and then I guess the biggest news of it all is that Haas is named after he has had sort of a injury scare at the end of last week's game, doing an ankle, but he's all fine and ready to go. So I will be playing him, and I assume most people anyone that has him will be playing him because front row is looking a bit dire at the moment. And even an injured Haas pumped out 60 points, which is more than AFB and Tarpany and all these other guys. Tino's out, so who else are you going really? For the Bunnies, not really a super coach side at the moment or at all. But Dodd and Munro have both been dropped for them, and Bailey Bentley, Harper, and Humphreys come in to replace them. For the Panthers, huge here. They're playing full strength, and they have a great matchup against the Titans. And this is sort of the game that I'm looking at as a like you have to have a VC or C on one of these guys. Edwards or Cleary would be my pick. Yeah, it's just 3 p.m. game on a Sunday, Sunday Arvo, I believe it is, or Saturday Arvo. So yeah, big captaincy option there, and yeah, they're full strength. They look good. They come into their own at the right time. So the more Panthers, the better, I think, and that's part of the reason I was so big on them a few weeks ago, getting in Dylan Edwards early. I've held Cleary the way through, so I was huge on them, and I think they're gonna continue building into the season, and I would highly recommend you put a C or a VC on either Edwards and Cleary. Cleary will be my captain at this stage, and my vice captain is going to be Herbie, who I also think is a great VC option against a depleted Warriors side. Um, we'll move on now to sort of the Dragons. Not really much to touch on. It's apparently going to be pissing down rain in this one, even more rain than the Bulldogs versus Dolphins game earlier in the year, apparently. So that's the Dragons versus Raiders game, but not much happening really. You see Suarez out, Michael Muller replaces him, and then for the Raiders, you see Chris is back, Sasangi's to the bench. I think if you still want to go Hudson Young, he's a great buy anytime, really. Nothing nothing too much else to say. Fogarty, a lot of people are looking at Fogarty at the moment. Me as someone that's already got clear in, I have to trade out Hughes. He's someone that I did look at, but I just can't go past Hines even at the ownership. Like I would love to go a pod play and get a Fogarty in, but the reality is Fogarty just doesn't scare me, whereas Hines, he scares me with the with the Sharks draw. Um, yeah. For Manly, unfortunately, if you brought in Hamoli, contrary to, like what Physio said, Physio basically came out, and I myself have experience with these shoulder injuries. I've dislocated my shoulder 7 times, so the recurrence rate is very high, and I know from personal experience I was never going anywhere near Hamole, but if he did, it's unlucky. He's done it again. He probably will be out for the rest of the Supercoach season at least. Um, which is a big loss for Manly. Simpkin comes onto the bench as well for them, which isn't very Supercoach relevant. And then for the Roosters, not Supercoach relevant, but it is big for them, is Billy Smith and Hugo Savala are back. If you've held any of those guys, replacing Sandon, who suffered a HIA, but we know that Sandon has basically been ahead of Savala in the pecking order based on what we've seen already. So I've held Sandon. I probably will continue just holding him, even though he's doing nothing there. But I just can't afford to burn a trade until I need to. Um, Ethan King obviously gets replaced with Billy Smith as well, and you see Radley named in the reserves. For the Tigers, big news for them. Buller returns for them at fullback. Nothing really from a Supercoach standpoint to touch on with them. And for the Bulldogs, this is very interesting. Karaz named at fullback, and I know a lot of people are going to be licking their lips and wanting to captain him because fullback's a higher scoring position, etc., and all of that, and he's going to be in and amongst everything. I just don't. I personally, I think he's an option, but it's not for me. I don't think he's got a passing game, so is he going to get any try assists? You're just relying on him, his work rate basically, which he already has on the wing, but it would be relying on him sort of sniffing around the ruck a bit more, and getting tries that way. But is he more likely to score a try or do anything there, or out on the wing where we saw him cost for 2 tries on the weekend? He could, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Unfortunately, Tracy is out for 3 weeks minimum with a weird injury. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, Gus Gould came out and basically said that he won't be able to train for a minimum of 3 weeks, unfortunately. So yeah, hopefully the Dogs can get him before finals. But it's huge if you bought Renakama or if you own Renakama at all. It's also a great matchup for the Doggies in this one. And yeah, Karaz C will be quite a popular option. I just much prefer the Cleary, just back it in job or Edwards for me, but I think it has to be Cleary. Nakora and Talakai return for the Sharks. This is another good captaincy game in my opinion, as well. I think you could easily captain Nico Hines again. I know a lot of people will be scarred from the week that was, but he got 51 and did bugger all. So disallowed multiple things, and he loves playing the Cowboys historically. So I do like that captaincy option. It's just hard for me when my fullbacks are set, and I like Cleary a bit more. But Nakura's back is really good for him, and then obviously Talakai back is yeah, just good for the left edge in general, which lacked a bit of cohesion. We saw Chris Violea throw a full pass to Ronaldo, which was a gimme try, and I was spewing at that as a Ronaldo owner, but what can you do? And then for the Cowboys, basically Clifford's named, and if you're of the opinion like myself that the Cowboys are going to lose this game and not really show up, I think you can heavily consider sitting Drinkwater. It's something that I'm considering very heavily at the moment. Fullbacks don't generally score well against the Sharks. I think you've seen not a single fullback has tonned against them this year. Walsh has been the highest and the only one that's got 75 points plus. And then you've had Drinkwater play them before, score sub 75. You've had Edwards score sub 75 or exactly 75. Pappenhausen sub 75. Turbo sub 75. Tedesco sub 75. Like they seem to do a really good job on fullback. So Drinkwater is someone that I'm heavily considering not playing, but it depends how you view this game. Like you could believe that um, Sharks aren't that great after their disappointing outing against the Bunnies, and the Cowboys might be up for it. Dearden's in hot form. I don't believe that though. I think the Sharks would come out and beat them quite well, and it'll be hard for the Cowboys to put points on. But you never know. That's sport for you. Um, that's basically a wrap on TLT. I think the main takeaways, if I was to do another little recap, is that Panthers Titans matchup as a gold mine. I would be looking at a captaincy armband in that one. There's not really any Broncos Bunnies. I think the Broncos put a score on the Bunnies, and that's another matchup to cut target. But if you have Walsh, I'll be licking my lips at that matchup. That's a huge one. Same as like an SMM and even an Adam Reynolds. I think they all go well, the spine, and they bounce back. And maybe a Cobbo, Mariner, Stags could be in for big ones as well if they go as well as I think they are. So if I had any of those sort of guys, I'd be tempted to chuck a VC on. Herbie's obviously a great VC option or C option any week. And then you've got Pappenhausen, who I don't mind. Munster and Grant are okay as well. But me, myself, I'm leaning otherwise. I wouldn't touch any of the Dragons Raiders for captaincies. Same with the Manly side, really, or the Roosters game. I think that's two hot and cold sides, really. Too hard to tip. And you've got better matchups, and then a lot of people will lean Karaz, but as a captaincy, I don't mind it. That's another thing as well. I've captained Karaz not last week for his 137, but the 2 weeks prior, and he got 53 and 74. So pretty filthy with him that the 1 week I don't captain him, he does that. But yeah, what can you do? He's another good captaincy option this week for sure. And then Hines obviously is the big one. That sort of wraps up our TLT, guys. Very, very quick there. We'll move on to sort of my trades or trade for the week. This is sort of how I'm lining up. Obviously, Hughes is pretty well gone for the season, so he's got to go. I will be bringing in Nico Hines, and that leaves me with one trade and 152k in the bank. So I'll be sitting like this, and my sit starts will look pretty much exactly like this. So the sort of dilemma I'm in at the moment is I'm tossing up not playing Drinkwater, and yeah, it's a really hard sit B start week for me. I've got Tarpany there who I'm not considering playing. It's going to be May and Haas. Um, Watson's been very disappointing, so I'm tempted to sit him and same as Eli Katoa and play Laka for a bit of upside. But I just don't think that Warriors side's very strong. Although Laka's been great playing 80 minutes. So that yeah, I'm very torn on that. Are we having to sit one of these guys? But Nakora is definite lock for me. I'm definitely playing him 100%. Cleary and Hines, obviously, bringing in Hines. I toyed with using my last trade and going Fogarty and then Sandon to Hudson Young and just loading up on the Raiders. But I think I just want to hold that trade and hold the 152K for an absolute emergency later in the season. Yeah, hopefully I can just play Sippy starts from now, which, as you can see, like it's quite tough for me at the moment. Um, Burden and Munster, I'll switch these guys around because Munster plays first. Um, Burden 124 last week and was phenomenal. He's someone that I could sit, but he's playing the Tigers, so it's yeah, I'm very unsure. Can he back it up, or do I just go a Drinkwater? Same as yeah, it's very tough. This is where I'm at the moment, though. Definitely going to play To'o against the Titans. He's been quite disappointing, but I think this week, if he doesn't score, I'll be absolutely shocked. I'll be so shocked if he doesn't score. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he can sort of break the drought and look a bit better this week against a shocking team. So um, Herbie, 100% playing him. Lomax, I thought about not playing him, but I have warmed up to playing him. Just his base is so good. Karaz, definitely. To'o, definitely. Garrick, Mulatalo, definitely. Garrick, definitely. Teddy and Edwards, definitely as well. So I guess the guys I'm sort of tossing and turning between is Burden, Drinkwater, and then my second row dilemma up here. If I could, I'd play Drinkwater over one of these guys, but I can't. So that's sort of where it's at the moment. And, yeah, very happy with the side, guys. And I don't see myself moving off this VCC combo either. So, bit of a short episode today. Um, yeah, hopefully we get fish back next week. And yeah, thanks for everyone for tuning in, I guess. And we'll see you guys all next week. And best of luck with the round, everyone. So, thanks, guys.